Why haven't you just taken it from me?
I'm done playing games. Give me the key.
The Netflix adaptation of Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez's comic book is off to an amazing start. It was a feast for the eyes, and even comic book nerds can't complain about the series not staying faithful to the written work. And why would they, if every single episode of Season 1 was jam-packed with Easter eggs that pay homage to the comic and other great works in the fantasy thriller genre? Some were pretty obvious, but others were so subtle and cleverly designed that you might have missed them if you looked away or zoned out for just a second. So today we're going to take a look at some Easter eggs you may have missed in Locke and Key Season 1. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Number 1. Olfactory memory. In the comics, the smell of wet paint makes Kinsey vomit, because it reminds her of the time her dad was killed while they were painting their home for renovation. This subtle detail was omitted from the series, but Nina makes a subtle reference to it while the family was driving from Washington to Maine. She told the kids that smell and memory are deeply connected, and revealed that the smell of lemons makes her miss Randall. Number 2. A subtle mention of the lighthouse. In the comics, Locke kids hung out at a lighthouse near Key House to explore what their keys can do. The lighthouse wasn't featured at all in the Netflix adaptation, but Dodge makes a brief mention of it while fooling around with Tyler. She mentions they should drive by the lighthouse afterward. Number 3. The Alcoholics Anonymous Code. In Episode 9, Nina almost crashes a church meeting that was reserved for the Friends of Bill W. If you don't know, Bill W. is actually Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, a support group for people dealing with alcoholism. Group meetings are usually announced in codes in order to protect the identity of attendees. Number 4. A nod to the family business. The origins of the Locke family have been subject to speculation since the series began. Sure, the comics explained in detail how the Lockes who lived at Key House were metalworkers who forged weapons for colonists, but we have yet to find out if this is canon in the series too, except for one tiny hint in Episode 5 entitled Family Tree. In this episode, Bodhi gets into trouble at school for bringing a strange blacksmith hammer as protection against Dodge. Could this be a family heirloom? Number 5. Kenzies' new look. Fans of the comic world know that Kenzie starts out as a punk-loving teen who prefers bold graphic tees to blouses and wears her blonde hair in dreadlocks with colored streaks. She deliberately changed this to draw less attention to herself in school. While the series doesn't explicitly show this side of Kenzie, Tyler and Nina mention her new basic look on the first day of school. Number 6. Welcome to Matheson. Locke and Key the series was set in the fictional town of Matheson, Massachusetts, which is why the first episode was entitled Welcome to Matheson. This is homage to writer Richard Matheson, whose work in the fantasy, horror, and sci-fi genres largely influenced the original comic. In the book, though, Key House was located in Lovecraft, Massachusetts, a fictional tribute to H.P. Lovecraft, the 19th century author of many gothic horror stories. Number 7. The logo in the woodwork. Did you know the show creators couldn't find a house to shoot the show in because none of the available set locations quite met their criteria? Instead, they literally built one themselves. It was much more expensive, but it was well worth it since they were able to do anything they wanted with the building. Now, take a close look at the ornate woodwork on the foyer of the Key House and notice how the logo for the comic book series had been carved into the wood. They couldn't have done this at a rental now, could they? Number 8. Zack Wells' character is a tribute. In the comics, Dodge takes the form of Lucas Caravaggio, but masqueraded as a fake student named Zack Wells. To preserve some mystery, even for avid readers of the comic, this was changed up, and the showrunners put Dodge in the body of Gabe, Kenzies' love interest. It's one of the biggest plot reveals in the last episode of Season 1. Still, Zack Wells' comic persona was too iconic to just throw away, so they created the character of Zack Wells as a nod to him. Number 9. The Lyrical Reference. After Dodge put on the crown of shadows, he said, "Hello darkness, my old friend," which is of course a lyric from the Simon and Garfunkel song Sound of Silence. This is the exact same line Dodge uses in the comics when the demon first used the crown of shadows. But that's not the only lyrical reference in the show, although it's undeniably the most explicit one. Number 10. Yearbook Quotes. Looking at Rendell's yearbook, you can spot some of the Keeper's senior quotes. Lucas Caravaggio's quote is a line from a Metallica song, "Life is ours, we live it our way." Notably, Rendell's quote is something from Peter Pan, "The moment you doubt whether you can fly, you cease forever to be able to do it." Peter Pan was highly referenced in the original comic, as one of the bedtime stories Rendell used to read to Bodhi. When Dodge attacked the house in the third comic, Tyler was reading the same story to Bodhi, just before bed. Number 11. A brief mention of Brian. Duncan's life in Boston was fleshed out a bit more in the comic than in the show. The book dove deep into his life as a gay art teacher, but his boyfriend Brian is not even shown in the series. Although, there was one scene where Duncan offered Nina and the Locke family a chance to stay with him and Brian. Dunrian fans are hoping this mention means Brian will actually make an appearance in the next seasons, and we hope so too. Number 12. Tom Savini's cameo. Both the comic books and the Netflix show paid well-deserved homage to special effects master Tom Savini. In the comic, the high school's horror-loving filmmakers called themselves the Savini Squad, but even those who only watched the series got a sequel-worthy moment when Bodhi met a pawn shop owner in town who turned out to be Tom Savini in a cameo role. Number 13. The creators' cameos. In case you have no idea what Locke and Key creators Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez looked like in real life, all you need to do is check episode 10. When Rufus was taken away by an ambulance, the paramedics checking in on him were actually Hill and Rodriguez. It was such a captivating moment because Hill and Rodriguez really did draw themselves into the comics, and for exactly the same roles. Number 14. Dad's knock-knock jokes. In one of Kenzies' memories, Rendell tells her a knock-knock joke. While this might seem like a typical dad joke remembered fondly, it's a lot more emotional for those who read the books. Throughout all 6 comic installments, the Locke children always trade knock-knock jokes they remember their dad telling them. Number 15. Are we heading to the Revolutionary War era? The 5th Locke and Key comic brought readers back in time to the Revolutionary War, where the first magical keys were forged and when the Omega Door was discovered. This might be explored in the show as well, given the plethora of references the first season made to that era. In the first episode alone, Duncan already made an explicit mention of the Revolutionary War when talking about their ancestors' book collection. Fast forward to episode 3, and you can see the Declaration of Independence hanging next to Scott while he and Kenzie were talking in the hallway at school. This was yet another nod to the Revolutionary War storyline from the comics. Number 16. A chilling memory. In episode 4, a pair of skates can be seen hanging from a wall in the ping pong room. This might remind comic readers of a particularly gnarly incident where Kenzie attacked Zack Wells, slashing his face with the blade of a skating shoe until he died. It's pretty clear why this particular scene didn't make it to the screen though, right? Number 17. Ellie's fresh cookies. The scene where Ellie brought Rufus fresh cookies is another scene lifted straight out of the comic, with a few adjustments of course. In the printed version, Ellie was brutally slain by Dodge shortly after offering the kids baked goods in her house. Number 18. Kenzie's wings. In the comics, Kenzie uses a key that gave her gigantic white wings and the ability to fly while carrying heavy objects. This has not happened on the show yet, but in episode 6, Kenzie is seen wearing a denim jacket with white wings embroidered on them. This could be a foreshadowing that she will indeed get wings sometime in the future. If not, it's still a pretty clever homage to the character's original story. Number 19. Tyler's baseball hat. Towards the end of season 1, Tyler is finally seen wearing a baseball hat as he heads off to meet Jackie. It's a welcome sight for comic book fans who can barely recognize Tyler without his signature Oakland A's hat. Only in the show, the Lockes were not from the Bay Area, which is why we couldn't see him donning the A's hat. Lastly, my mild romance. Not a lot of people know this, but My Chemical Romance has a spin-off group called My Mild Romance, at least according to the Locke and Key series. Around the 9-minute mark in the 6th episode, you can spot a poster for the alternate band, complete with those rock star roses we all know so well. And there you have it, all the Easter eggs you missed in Locke and Key. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.